Well, good morning on Good Morning Geelong. Most of us, I guess, comb through our newspapers on a fairly regular basis. I certainly try to read the Advertiser, the Herald Sun and the Age each day, and occasionally the Australian on the weekends. Generally speaking, it's pretty ordinary sort of news, and occasionally something just strikes you which really creates a jarring note. During the week I read a comment in response to the Geelong Advertiser asking one of those street poll questions, and they take 5 people and publish their photos and just give a one-line answer to the question. The question was whether we need more surveillance cameras on our Geelong city streets. 4 of the 5 people who answered the question said yes, but one of them, a young man from Highton, I think it was, said, yes, we need more cameras. Sometimes I'm just too scared to go outside. And I read that and I thought, well, if that's for real, and there's no reason why it wouldn't be, that's a pretty scary sort of a statement in itself. But it's maybe far more true for many of us than we might realise. Certainly not scared to go out at any time, but there are times of the day and night where perhaps we need to be a lot more careful than we are, and unprovoked assaults, of which there's been a lot of publicity and indication in the last few weeks, certainly make that more and more true. You might say, well, what do we do about this? And people say, well, let's get more police and that would help, and let's give stiffer sentences and that'll help, and let's get more surveillance cameras and that'll help. None of these are foolish suggestions, but they don't really get to the heart of the ordinary person, recognising, of course, that most ordinary people are pretty good. Most people are pretty decent. They want to live a quiet life just in peace with their neighbours and just go about their business without disrupting anybody else. Within all of that, we've got to go a bit more than just police and surveillance cameras and stiffer sentences. There's a whole culture shift that needs to be addressed within our nation, within our state, within our city. One little hopeful sign, though, is something which was highlighted by one of the writers in the Herald Sun during the week, where he talked about the fact that he believes, his name is Colin Vickery, and he wrote in the Herald Sun on Tuesday, he believes that Australian television audiences have had enough of nasty television, as he described it. He wrote about things like the Kyle Sandilands and the radio segment, the Chaser and the dealing with children with cancer, Todd McKenney and the sort of judging on a lot of the reality shows and so on, and Gordon Ramsay and his language and tirade of abuse of people. He said people are switching off this. They don't like it, they've had enough, and interestingly enough, it's the more positive, call them feel-good television programs that are rating well and doing better. And thank goodness for that. Maybe that indicates at long last that the sort of ugly side of life, which seems to get so much promotion on so many different levels, has run its race, or at least its pace is beginning to peter out, and the more decent, valued side of human nature, of which there is so much, and which so often goes unacknowledged and unheralded, that this is going to take a much higher profile within Australian society. And this will filter down in so many different ways. Maybe it will mean that the sort of people that we put up to the oncoming generation as being the focus and the models and the mentors will be the people who've really got something to offer. The sports people who are true sports people, the scientists, the students, the people who really make this world go round in a better way. And there are many of them. They're acknowledged several times a year in the honours system and so on for their contributions to the community. These people need to be more and more a focus of the goodness and the decency that's in our society. We're not going to turn things around in 5 minutes. This is a supertanker that's probably taken 30 or more years in developing to this sort of ugly society whereby young people will say, I'm too scared to go outside. Not good enough. We can do better. We must do better. But hopefully even the leadership that's shown amongst our entertainer channels, the people who run the TV networks and various other areas of entertainment, if they begin to believe that the better side of human nature is what people are looking for and present that to us in a more and more positive and worthwhile way, well then we'll start to have something really that can turn our society around. Leadership is what it's all about, not just political leadership, but also especially in the media, and if that can be done on the management of radio, television and other media outlets, well, we might begin to see a bit of a major shift in our society, and maybe our streets may be a lot more safe to go outside and just enjoy with one another in peace into the future. Good to be with you on Good Morning Geelong.